It's 3 a.m. and I'm recording some D&D horror stories for you guys. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm tired. I should go to bed, but I'm not going to. Let's get right into it. An old friend of mine attempts to have intercourse with my character. Okay, a bit of context. I was simply a beginner. I had not played many D&D games up to this point. I was playing a fox fighter who happened to be a girl. The friend happened to be a furry. You can see where this is going. The party had been going on for a few games, and we picked up a friend's character who was the party's bard, along with another friend of mine. Also, disclaimer, I'm not a furry. Alice is actually an OC of mine that goes way back to Starbound, but I do not dislike furries at all. I may shit on them from time to time, but some are the chillest people I've ever met. People in the story: Mike, the GM, me, Saber, the old friend, not his character's name, nor his real name. I sat on my bed and waited for the game to start. Me and the rest of the party were waiting in the Discord call for Mike to join. Saber joins a few minutes later after me and asks a few questions. Saber: so who is Alice? Alice was my character's name. We all had profile pictures of our characters that we made on Hero Forge. The ranger asks why. Saber doesn't give a clear answer. Mike joins in a few minutes later and we start the session. Mike: so to give the new players a chance to get to know everyone, describe your characters. The ranger starts, then our rogue, then the wizard, and lastly me. We get to a tavern and Saber asks to roll a perception check on specifically me. This confused both me and Mike, but Mike allows it, and Saber rolls a 19 with a -1 modifier. Mike asks me to write a description of my character, and I already have a description of my character ready. Mike reads the description off, and we get into a bar, fight, and finish the session in a hotel after getting some intel from a manager about a rival group. Roleplay session occurs and is a breaking point with me and Saber. Saber messages Mike. Mike sends me an image of what he sent. He says, and I quote, "Can I seduce Alice?" He then shows me a cropped porn of both of our characters, not even fucking joking. I have no idea on how he got it done so quickly, nor do I wish to know. What the fuck is this guy thinking? Me: Saber, what the actual shit did you just want to do? Saber: listen, we're both fairies, it's in our Me: in our nature? The fuck are you talking about? I'll never do this. Anyways, I would never lose my character, you sick piece of shit. I'm out of finish the session without me. I leave and officially quit the campaign entirely after that. I got back into D&D again 6 months ago without Saber. It was a lot more enjoyable after that. Never spoke with him again after that. Now, you will barely be able to see me because it's currently 3 a.m. as I said in my intro, but what the fuck is wrong with a furry? Okay, don't get me wrong. I've never met a furry in real life. I doubt they're all bad people. Obviously, it's terrible to vilify an entire group of people. But holy fuck, I've heard so many horror stories about them. Like, it's ridiculous. Just don't be a creep. You don't need to be... You can be a furry. Just don't be a creep. Good job, OP. I don't blame you for getting out of there. That's fucking weird. D&D table gives birth to an abusive relationship and also the typical that guy stuff. Part 1 of 2. Trigger warning: abusive relationship, in-game assault, mentions of inappropriate talk with minors. A friend of mine invited me to watch him DM an original campaign of his, which I've already played. It was the best campaign that I played in my life, so it would be very fun and nostalgic to see how other players deal with the same situations, and even how the story could branch differently. So here are the characters of our story. DM: very enthusiastic about RPG and writing stories, a little bit crazy but has an enormous heart. Cleric: the only other person I already knew, your typical Chad that enjoys nerd stuff. Warlock: work friend of DM, very flamboyant, and a little bit spotlight hog, but was a good guy. Monk: Warlock's friend, very energetic and enthusiastic, she already DM'd for the rest of the group. Bard: she was a little bit serious, but she was the best role player I've ever seen, she would really get into her character. And then there was Ranger. He was also DM's work friend and cleric friend. At first he seemed like a more mature guy. He was like 30, 10 years older than the rest of the group's average age, but oh boy, how was I wrong. The first and very blatant red flag was that he had the name of had the fame of jokingly flirt with every single person in Discord the moment he discovered it was a girl. And yes, that included confirmed minors. In one case, he sent me a private message creepily asking for a picture of a friend of mine because she had a beautiful voice. And he barely knew me, so it was very uncomfortable getting a message from him asking it out of the blue. I tried to talk about this in private with DM and Cleric, which was also a friend of Ranger, and Cleric turned me down saying I was exaggerating and that Ranger only did those things as, of course, a joke. DM was hanging in the fence of this matter. Let's give him some time, he said. Even if we ignore the whole flirt thing for now, which will be relevant later, he was still kind of a prick. He first created his character using UA Revised Ranger, which was explicitly disallowed, and when DM forced him to change, DM was even kind enough to let him have one feature because it fitted his character flavor. He would complain about the DM nerfing him every single session. At first it was just a joke, but the aggression in his tone became clear and clear as the time passed. One thing was that he was a very annoying rules lawyer, the worst kind. The one that doesn't know the rules. He constantly interrupted DM mid-session to correct him, but 80% of the time he was flat wrong, and who had more knowledge of rules than the others, had to intervene. The other 20% was just DM consciously using the golden rule to make combat more fluid and keeping the focus on RP, what apparently was a sin for Ranger. As previously said, he had the habit of constantly flirting with every single female. That included Monk and Bard. At first he started trying to get a hang on Monk, but he was quick and openly declined his advances, but that didn't make the compliments, which were more like harassment, but hey, it was all a joke, right, about her appearance, and made some people, including Monk, somewhat uncomfortable. But after Monk rejected him, he started flirting with Bard. Seeing it all now, it was clearly just to make Monk jealous somehow, and for some reason Bard fell for his charm, and they started dating outside the game. Their characters were already dating in-game before that, and it might have helped set up the mood. D&D table gives birth to an abusive relationship, and also the typical that guy stuff, part 2 of 2. Apparently the real horror story starts this part. Once again, trigger warning, abusive relationship, in-game assault, mentions of inappropriate talk of minors. So Bard and Ranger started dating in real life. As a bit of background information, Ranger had an open relationship with a girl from Italy. They would see each other 2 to 3 times a year, and was very open about this with Bard and the rest of the group. However, he promised Bard he and an Italian girl would soon break up because of the hardships of a long-distance relationship, even for an open one, and Bard accepted it and gave Ranger some time to sort things up. At first, it seemed like a fine old relationship. Both were more serious and mature. Bard was the second oldest, 25 or so years old, so they had similar worldviews. I was still very wary of all of this assholey and odd behavior, but since apparently I was the only one with bad blood with him, I was willing to give him a chance, and back down with the accusations, and of course, that was a mistake. 2 to 3 weeks after Ranger and Bard initial dating, things started to feel weird. He would constantly raise his voice towards Bard for very dumb and little things, like taking some very reasonable time to look at her spell list, she not understanding what the DM said, and asking him to say it again because she had terrible internet connection. But Ranger didn't seem to care. Sometimes he wanted to directly control what a character did in-game, and his character was starting to get jealous of her character talking to other male characters in-game, which was clearly out of place. Forwarding 1 month of this weird behavior, Bard's grandma would be completing 90 years. She loved her grandma so much because she was the one who basically raised by her, and was very excited to bring Ranger with her to a birthday party. However, Ranger, the same guy who was about to break up with the Italian girl, booked a flight out of the blue to Italy. Everyone at the table was very confused, especially Bard, which of course was very upset about everything. In Ranger's self-defense, he said that it was, in his words, the best way to put a proper end in this relationship. It would be wrong to just end it over the internet. It will be a quick trip, no need to worry. It was this moment everyone started batting an eye for Ranger. The quick trip took 2 weeks. He must have taken his time to carefully choose his words to end relationship, right? Anyway, Bard was upset, and while Ranger was away, DM did some cool side missions during the weeks to help Bard cope with all of this shit, and then meanwhile Monk started dating with someone, let's call him Jeff, who sometimes would come by and watch the sessions. He was a pretty cool guy, funny and gentle. kind of opposite of Ranger, if you ask me. When Ranger finally returned, Bard had the strength to break up with him, but still wanted to be friends and RPG partners. However, Ranger clearly was more upset about Monk, who previously rejected him, getting a new BF than about him breaking up with Bard. He would always make snarky jokes about Jeff being an outsider and how he shouldn't be there watching us playing because he's not a player, even not accounting me, who always just watched everyone playing. There were like 4 to 5 people who occasionally watched the session and he never made a single comment about them. Jeff, being the nice guy he is, took it all in stride, which made Ranger more and more upset. Besides the whole Jeff weird hate, Ranger still showed huge red flags for his character treated Bard's character. There was still a couple in game. He was starting to be even more manipulative and abusive with her, and later Bard said, "My character is too much naive and always trusting other people. That's why they won't break up no matter how bad Ranger's character treats her." However, they would soon break up with gnashing incident. So the party was exploring an old manor that belonged to a long-gone aristocrat that held clues for an artifact the BBEG was after. It was infested with remnants of the gone, basically the physical manifestation of people's grudges. It's actually more deep and well written, but I'm just summing it up. And they proceeded to beat up the party pretty badly. It was supposed to be in warm-up combat, but they were very uncoordinated and messed up a lot. Monk was left alive with 2 HP, and Ranger, out of character, insisted very badly to let him heal her. She argued there is no reason we have a cleric of life with almost all of his spell slots intact, save yours for something more useful, and then Ranger got really mad and said, "Then I want to heal her by force with a kiss." Everyone was so dumbfounded to even say anything about it, he just did it in front of everyone, including Bard's character, her in-game partner. This spiraled in a very obtuse and messy discussion that mixed in-game and out-of-game, screaming with a most clearly false "it is what my character would have done" argument I've ever seen, and with Bard breaking up with Ranger in-game. As a bit of context, his Ranger would heal others by licking wounds as part of a flavor, and he tried to say that a kiss is technically a lick for internal wounds, which is downright ridiculous. The session ended there, and later that night I scolded DM very hard to never allow any kind of assault take place between characters like that. In his defense, it was his first time having to deal with this, and since it was very spontaneous, he had no time to react. The other day, me, Monk, Bard, Warlock, and even Jeff, since Ranger was an arsehole to him and the whole kiss thing was very likely to try messing with him, were discussing the best way to kick Ranger out of the game. But DM was kind of a coward in pulling the trigger, as he is the type of guy who doesn't want to upset no one, and ends up upsetting tons of people in the process. As we begin discussing this, we heard from Bard that Ranger tried to manipulate her into no longer talking with her best friend, who DM'd 7th C to her, because Ranger was feeling jealous of her in Ranger words. Why are you talking with an arrogant prick like him instead of talking to me? And must I remind you, well, they already broke up. Not that this behavior would be justifiable if they were still together, but it just makes the situation even more bizarre. After that, it was basically the last straw, so DM decided to retcon the story into Ranger being shredded to pieces by the remnants before the kiss happened, right after kicking him out of the game and the Discord server. Today, Jeff is playing your cliche dumb barbarian role, playing it very well, in place of Ranger Bard, is dating someone new. To be honest, he is a little arrogant, but treats her very well, and she seems to be very happy, and we never heard from Ranger again. He started ignoring DM during their job after the incident, but I think it's better this way. What an absolute asshole. Like, honestly, good job, OP, for calling him out before it got worse, but like, everyone else should have also listened to you, because quite frankly, you clearly know what you're doing. I get that DM didn't want to cause any problems, but still, shit happens. That guy did just fucking assault someone in the game, and like, that's weird. And like, while you're dating someone in game, just to get at that person's dating at a game? Like, for fuck's sakes, mate, get a life! Holy shit. You're sad. But like, yeah, good story, OP. I know people don't like me split into 2 parts, but it kind of made my time easier, because, I don't know, I didn't have to read through a massive thing. I can do it in 2 different parts. It was nice. Thanks for that. Anyway, have a good one, guys. If you like this content, like and subscribe. Once again, to that certain little someone, like and subscribe, you little bitch boy. He knows who he is. My Twitch chat knows who he is.